Hello everybody, so this is going to be a quick drawing lesson and we're going to choose how to draw a puppy. So everybody likes dogs, so let's draw a dog. The big thing here is like anything else when it comes to drawing, you want to have a framework down. So I like to draw a little stick figure with shapes. So I put some circles where the joints are and then I kind of, guesstimate where I want the legs to be, and then I draw the circles for the body. And then the head, what I do is I'll make a circle. I draw a straight line down the middle just to make sure it's symmetrical. A little place for the eyes, and then the nose is basically a triangle there. In this case, I'm going to draw like a little beagle, so I decided to give him some floppy ears. The big thing is here is you see where the eyes are? When it comes to dogs' faces, look at the eyebrows. They have these distinct little tufts of eyebrows. That's why they look like they have emotions. That's why they look so sad sometimes, because of those. So whenever you draw a dog, remember to put those in. That's going to be the way you truly emote emotions, as they say. The hind legs are a little different too. If you think about it, their legs are interesting. You gotta think of it almost as if it's a human leg standing on their tippy toes. So that second joint that's sticking all the way in the back is actually kind of like the bottom of their foot, and then the knee is kind of the front side there. So that'll help you as you articulate this. Now that's the underdrawing. What I'm doing now is I put another layer on top of this. If you're doing this physically and not on an iPad like I'm doing, you would probably just erase those lines so it's lighter and then redraw them. So I want to prove a point here. I drew a little arrow to the upper right hand. That's going to be what we call our light source. So I did a basic version of the eye on the dog's right side, which is our left side, to show how that would look just as a circle. So you'd have a little bit of a bright spot on a black circle. But if you look at the actual dog's left eye on our right, this is how you would actually want to draw it. You want to not only just make a circle, you'd make the circle kind of small. You'd put that little highlight. I like to split the highlight between the dark iris and then the outside. I'm sorry, the pupil and then the outside. It just gives it a better effect. You're going to see that here again as I adjust the eye to the left. So just wanted to show you how you would go about that. Again, helps to split it. Now what I do is I put little tiny lines that spiral in towards the center of that eyeball. And what that does is as we step away from the picture a little bit, it's going to look like there's a semblance of color right there. Now we're going to keep in mind the angle where that light source is coming from for the rest of this drawing, because when we want to make a picture pop, you got to have shadows. It's just one of those things that's the best way to make a picture kind of stand out and look professional, is giving it a little bit of shadow. So I am now going into the eyebrows, and like I said, this little kind of triangular shaped eyebrow section of a dog is what makes a dog's face a dog's face. So you gotta remember to do that. And here's the key. This is a simple little trick, is whenever you're drawing animals that have fur, it's really simple. You draw the outline, but then you just make it a little bit sketchy, and that's all I'm doing here. So as you come back, the thing you're going to notice is I have a shadow on the lower left side of all the objects I'm doing. When it comes to the nose is a triangle, and then it's a triangle that basically has these nostrils which are split in from the side, just like that. So it's a little bit different. And then it also is a triangle that pops out. So when you look at a nose on a dog, you don't just see a flat front triangle. You actually the flat front of it, but it's also pushed out. So what you'll see, it's almost like a ledge that I have to add. So I do this again by adding a little bit of shadow on the front side of it. And then the top of that nose, which is the top flat side of it, you will kind of see it's highlighted a little bit so you can see it. Then they also split. There's a split that goes on to the mouth, that goes below the nose, and that's what forms the mouth. Now hair is something, for these purposes, I just left it pretty basic. But sometimes what you want to do is you want to add whiskers, because dogs actually have whiskers. A lot of people don't realize that. Whenever you draw a dog, they're similar to cats in that they have whiskers. The ears, if you're going to do them this way, it's basically just a fold, man. It's like basically taking a piece of cloth and folding it over. If you draw them kind of like a wolf style, I'm going to call them wolf style canine ears, then they're basically triangles that go into like a cone shape. So there's a little bit difference. But if you're doing it this way, like a bugles, all it is just a fold of skin coming over, right? So what you saw that I did here is I removed the bottom layer, which is what I was using as a basis there for a second, just so I could focus in to see how that picture would actually look like. It's important to do that once in a while. That's why if you are going to do this physically, which actually a lot of my art is physical, but the digital is easier to record drawings on, is you want to actually erase that bottom line at certain points as you draw so you can see how it's going to look like clean. Now again, what I'm doing here is I'm adding the shadows, and the shadows, you can tell the difference, right? You're gonna see it here in a second when I do the shadow underneath the head. This is what makes the drawing kind of pop, is that shadow itself. And again, we're looking at number one, the dark spots away from that light source, which is represented by that arrow that's coming down. And then number two, the shadow that's actually cast. So it's gonna be cast in a couple of places. Here, the head casts a shadow on the upper part of the chest and the dog's right shoulder, and then also you'll see in the bottom there the chest itself casts a little bit of a shadow on the front leg. On the opposite side, you'll see in the ears that what I'm adding right now is a different type of shadow, in that this is shadow that's not being cast, but more of it's on the opposite side of where the light is hitting. So then what I did here is I added a couple of spots. Usually dogs have spots and different types of fur color on there. Since this is black and white drawing, all I did was just kind of draw out a couple of spots and then put a little bit of lines in there to make it seem like it's a different color from there. Now, as we go in the feet, one thing you'll notice is this concept called grounding. So when it comes to grounding, what that means is you want to make sure that the object feels and it looks like it's actually sitting on the ground, that it's not just floating. So whenever you do that, you'll notice I put tiny dark shadows right next to the toes there. And what that does, it gives the impression that yes, that dog is actually sitting on the ground. And then from there, there's a lighter shadow that's being cast on the floor. The reason it's not as dark as the other ones is because of the distance. So the further away you are from the surface where shadow is, the lighter that shadow is actually going to be. So just a little bit of advice. And there you have it, guys. That's how you draw a dog. I hope you enjoyed it. Hey, if you want some more information on how to draw dogs, there is a great book by Lee J. Ames, aptly titled Draw 50 Dogs, where he teaches you how to draw 50 dogs. Anything from puppies to big dogs to everything in between. Once you go through those exercises, you will be a master at drawing the canine kind. So also, if you do like this channel and you like to see illustration videos, please feel free to subscribe. Take a second, you don't have to, but if you could, just click that button and I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you kindly. Bye.